Okay, kids, here we are again. We're working on this H228 that I evaluated, and now I'm doing the whole repair work on it. And you're getting to go along for the ride on pretty much the whole set of works, which I hope the customers are okay with that because it's slowing me down a little bit to do this, but it's all right. We'll get this documented once, and then I think you guys you're giving me good comments. So I appreciate the fact that you're learning something from this, even though I know you got to sit here and watch. I wish I had a fancy cameraman to come in and zoom in on things, but you know, here we are. So, got the frets on here, and remember I glued them in with the bottled hide glue, which is just a weak glue. Let it dry overnight. In fact, I let it dry for 2 days before I could get back into the shop again. And now I'm ready to trim the frets and level everything, and then get ready for the nut to go in here. So I use these tools, StuMac, flush cut things. These are like one of the first tools I bought too, 20 years ago. I've had these for a long, long time. These are great tools. And one time I was at one of the music things that I do. I was the on-grounds camp doctor dude, and I left to go to the bathroom or lunch or something. I came back and somebody was leaving my shop, and I said, "Hey, you know, what's up?" He said, "Oh, I just borrowed one of your tools to cut my strings." He used my fret nippers to cut his strings. Don't ever do that, people. The reason is the strings are harder than the frets, and he put little dents in the jaws of my fret nippers, so this side over here doesn't cut properly. I'll have to use this side. But on the upside, I got a box of tools from a friend of mine one day, and guess what? There was a second pair of fret nippers in there. So, but because I didn't rip the guy's head off and throw it down the alley, I was rewarded by karma, whatever, with another pair of fret pliers. And these have a little hammer on it. So these are even earlier, because I guess StuMac used to use these to hammer in, which I've never done, but you know, there it is, okay? So I have 2 pair of fret nippers now, so I guess things work out, don't they? So I'm going to tell you the truth here, I've already cut these frets, but what I do is I just come in like this, and I cut them. I know I'm going to be beveling the frets, so I kind of like to come in with the little bit of the angle and go ahead and kind of pre-bevel when I cut. And just cut along like that. And really the way I do it is to set the guitar off like this, the other way, put the sandbag on it, and then I come over here and I can get both sides of it without having to turn the guitar around a lot, which I do a lot of already. So, okay, having trimmed those, I take the file, another StuMac item, and it's just a file, piece of wood on it, nice comfortable wood. You can see it's got some wear on it. Again, this is like one of the very first tools I bought 20 years ago. And it's 20 years worth of me leveling frets. You can use whatever you want. I don't use, some people make a guard, they've got a, you know, so they have the same bevel all the time, and I don't do that. I just use my eye, and I put my fingers up underneath here to hold it, and just bevel it off. And again, I've already done this, so I'm just showing you how it's done. And I just hold it with my finger and get the bevel I want and get it straight down the fingerboard. See, that's why I guess why I don't have a pre-bevel on there, because I like to move that and get the edge of the fingerboard very, very lightly to get those frets right there. And then I come back like that, and I get the bevel that I want. Because I'm also doing a partial refret here, so I'm sort of kind of trying to match the previous bevel. Not exactly, because if I feel like these frets have too much bevel, I'm not going to match that, you know. I'm going to do my bevel. So I do both sides of it, flip the guitar over, do it, and then that's where we're at right now. So now we're live again. I take a marker, big fat Sharpie like this, and I mark the tops of the frets. Okay? I can do it by hand, freehand, because I've done this a lot of times. If you have any questions about, or if you have any hesitation about trying to do it, use one of these little guards from StuMac, set it up on the fret, and do that, and you'll keep from getting purple marker all over the fingerboard, which I still do sometimes. Now, this guitar is a non-adjustable truss rod. I want to keep, I want to build in a back bow to the neck like this. The neck naturally wants to back bow, so if I were to file right now, these frets here are higher than these frets. So if I level everything now, these frets are going to get knocked down more, and then when the guitar is strung up, the string tension is going to pull it up, and I'm going to have way too much relief. So what you got to do is to simulate the string pull. And StewMac makes a fancy little deal where you can set it in there and you can do all that. You know, and I used to have one of those too, but I sent it back because that was one of the tools that I just found no use for. And the more I thought about it, the more unnecessary it really is personally, because the strings are attached here at the tuners and here at the bridge, and they're pulling, and there's no intermediate tensions in here. In other words, you know, there's not a point of attachment here and a point of attachment here and a point of attachment here. There's a point of attachment from here to here, pulling in an arc. So I thought about that some, and then what I ended up doing, before I even had this thing, when the guitar was strung up, I came in here and I did this, and I measured the amount of neck relief it had. Okay? I wrote that down. So let's say it was 10,000ths of an inch. Then I unstrung the guitar, and as I showed you previously, right now, this guitar actually has negative neck relief. So that is, the center of the fingerboard is proud. The center of the fingerboard is high. This neck is actually in a slight back bow right now, which is what you want. So I just checked that, and then, are you with me? Under tension, there's relief this way. When the tension is off, there's back bow. That's what you want. You've got, when you string it up, you want to fight against that so that you end up with the amount of relief you want. So I just took, I knew how much relief it had under tension. I took sandbags and I started stacking sandbags on here. I got that propped up at the headstock. I got sandbags on here, and I took my yardstick again, and I kept adding weight until I got that same amount of neck relief back. Now I know how much weight it takes on the fingerboard to simulate string tension. So now, if I level the frets, what's going to happen? I'm going to end up with a level fingerboard. When it's strung up and has this much of relief again in the fingerboard, the frets are going to be level. Okay? So that's how I do it. That's how I get rid of neck relief and control it. If I take one of these bags off, I'm going to end up cutting a little bit more relief into here. If I put a little bit more weight on, I'll be able to make the fingerboard a little bit flatter. You've got about 3,000ths of an inch to play with in the frets. You know, not a lot, but yeah, that's what I do. And I happen to know that these two sandbags here will pretty much match the string tension of a set of medium gauge phosphor bronze strings. Okay? Take the same file and just glide it. I'm not even putting any tension on. I'm just letting the weight of the file do this right now. What I want to see is how much of that purple mark do I catch right away. The more of it I catch, then the more level my frets are. If I've got one that I've got to do a lot of filing on, I take it out and do it again, because I want these to be right off the bat. I don't want to sit there and grind on one fret to make it level. That's wrong. I put 5 frets in, so here's the other 2 pre-existing frets. I definitely don't want these frets to be higher than the new frets. I don't want them like that, because now the string would have to come down here and clear these higher frets. I don't mind too much if the new frets are a little bit taller than the old ones, because what that's going to happen is these are going to be nice and easy, and then I'm going to have a little bit more clearance as I go down the neck. And all you're going to have to do is press down just a little bit here, and you make it. And it won't be like this either. It'll be more like, 2,000ths of an inch or something. But I don't mind if the upper frets are just a little bit, 2,000ths, 3,000ths of an inch lower than these upper frets. Gives you a little bit more clearance up here, and your strings can go down like that anyways. So I don't mind that. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm watching to see how much I'm filing on the old frets. So let's get this done. I like to go the other way too. Now, let me show you something. What I'm finding, I hope you can see the purple on the neck, but look at fret number 5, right here. It's still purple. And the next two have been sanded off. So fret number 5 is actually just a little bit lower than fret number 6. And I don't want that. I'll put a little more weight back on here, but I'm going to see how much lower it is. I don't think it's bad. Now I'm going to focus just on this middle part, because these are all nice and clean, so there's no use filing them anymore. I'm just going to come in here to the middle. It's cleaning up. No, it's cleaning up nicely. Now the other thing I can do, since I think number 6 might be a little bit high, I'm going to come back with jaws, and jaws still has that 14-inch radius in it, and I'm going to make sure that this fret is seated, because a lot of times they're not. So I'm just going to clamp him down. I'm going to sneeze. Clamp these down. What I'm getting here is some gum squeeze out here. You know, grease, finger oil, that kind of squeezing out from the ends of the fret. So the ends of those frets were not seated really good. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these. Yeah, these are clearing up. And I got to stop at 10, remember? Because past that, jaws will rub on the heel and cause a dent. Bad news. Okay, now that I've got that seated again, I'm going to come back in and check it. Yeah, I like that. Now I've got them all. I'm hitting them all with my file. So, okay, I'm done with the file. 2 more tools now. This is the diamond fret file. It's got 2 sides to it. One's just a little wider than the other one. I used to worry about which side I was using, and then now I don't, because it doesn't really make any difference. And I've got this little file, which is another StuMac file. I've got the new version of it too. You'll find this one in the catalog. It's got a little red handle. I like the old one better, really. This new one is a finer grip, and it's a little softer. I like this one. It's faster. I just bought this one in case they quit making them, and that's one of my most useful tools. One of my most valuable tools is this one. It's called safe because on the edge it's smooth. And I'll show you what I do with this. But first thing I do is take the diamond file, and I'm going to come up. I'm going to recrown these now because I just flattened the top. And you've got, the tops are flat a little bit right now, and you've got to get the crown back in there. The crown is extremely important for clean intonation. So I just take this, and I'm going to come up from the edge a little bit, like this, and that'll round the edge of the fret for me. So it'll round it off. I come up, over, and then straight across the top. So I'm going to go up, down, and then across the top, and that will smooth off all the edges. I didn't have to do much filing on these, so they'll clean up really fast. You can hear the pitch change. Okay, that's it. Now I get this. Now at this point, these frets have a bevel that comes down like this, and it's sharp on the edges. Martin and most people just leave it right there. I don't like that. I like Collings frets. Collings frets are trimmed in like this, so that they're round. So what you do is come to the edge here with your file, and you go around it like that and just round the edges off. Go to the other side. I guess I could do it with one hand, can't I? You go around like this and edge it off and edge it off over here. And then you can also kind of roll it with your file to get a round edge. I want the edge of the fret to look like this. I don't want it square, sharp edge. I want it like this. Round edge, round top. That's what I'm going to do now. And over the top of my glasses. Doesn't take much. I used to think about getting LASIK, get rid of my glasses. But I wear contacts, and I found out that I get used to having 3 different visions here. I've got bifocals, regular glasses, and I can look over the top, and I get a really excellent close-up vision. And I haven't even used these. They're dusty. I have not even used these since I went to bifocals. Because I just look over the top of my glasses now, and it's just so much faster. And I thought, if I get my eyes fixed and get LASIK, I'm going to have to be wearing those things all the time, and I don't know. Plus it costs money. It's nice to be ambidextrous. I had to learn to do this both hands. You can also just reach over like this and do it. Not taking, you're not grinding away at this. I'm not grinding away at it. I'm just taking off that edge, that corner. Okay? Just to save some video time now, normally I would flip the guitar around and do the other side. I should just go ahead and do that. And then I can actually do this for real. I'll flip the guitar around. I'll put these up and get them out of the way. Get rid of my sandbags. I don't need them anymore. So. You definitely want to be careful not to grind into the fingerboard or anything. It's just a real light little touch. Rolling that corner off. You can feel the difference with your finger. I mean, that's the whole reason for doing this, is that it feels better on your fingers. It's not sharp. So use your finger as a guide. If it feels sharp, you didn't do it right. Okay? Pretty good. I'm not bleeding. That's a good sign. Flip this around again. Tape. Sumac sells this orange tape that comes in different diameters. I really should get the one that's in between here, but I'm cheap. This blue tape looks good. And then what I do is put it here. A lot of guys, most guys, put tape over the whole thing all the way up into there, but that takes too much time for me, and I'll show you what I'm going to do here. I just put tape in the middle, like that. And I'll press it down on the back side here. That makes it easier for me to flip it off again when I'm done. And you get up here. At this point I need a thinner strip, and now this is where I should get the medium tape. I rip the tape in half and just do it this way. Honestly, I think I can rip tape faster. Then I can get a new roll of tape. I'm going to tape it up to here. I got it taped in the middle of the fingerboard. Now I get my guard. And the reason I don't just use the guard right away is because when I'm sanding across here, I would end up sanding a little bit on the fingerboard. So when I used to use just the guard, I would have sand marks out on the fingerboard and I have to go clean those up. This way I don't have to clean those up. I use the guard right there. This is 320 grit wet dry sandpaper. Right now it's dry. And I just take it. Remember, I cut grooves going this way across the frets. So I'm going to go this way and erase those. I'm going to pay particular attention to the edge of the frets here. Smooth them off, round them off. I'm going to go across the frets at an angle back over this way, back over, smooth out all my little diamond file marks. Work your way across, leave the frets down. Pretty easy. It just takes time. You see, this way I don't have to worry about sanding under the fingerboard. I've got the tape on there to guard it, and this guard protects the stuff right around the fret. So this has been the best combination I've found for doing this. You can certainly tape the entire fingerboard up all the way up to the fret if you want to, but it takes a lot more time. Time is money, and there's things I'd rather be doing. There's things I'd rather spend my time on than taping a fingerboard. I like to switch hands. I'm going on to my old frets now. The frets, and I put 5 on, but I'm on 6 and 7 here. Part of the charge of partial refret is that I go ahead and get the rest of the frets too. Clean them up, polish them up, recrown them, all that kind of thing. These frets are pretty good shape up here. So I didn't bother recrowning them, but I'm going to polish them up good. Is it good? Okay, that's the 320. Now, micro mesh. I'm not sure where I got this. Stu Mac again, probably. This is a 2400 grit. Micro mesh grit does not match up to sandpaper grit. This is really, in the sandpaper grit, there's something ridiculous like 2000 or something. And I wrap it around the rubber block. You can use your finger too. But I like the rubber block and put a lot of pressure on it. Same thing, back and forth. Pay particular attention to the round edges. Don't even have to hold the little guard down, really. Work your way down it. Like that. You can go one more on the grit too. I've got 3600. I've got all the way up to like 12,000 grit in there. But I found 24 to be pretty good. A lot of times I will fold it over like this. Like on this one, I need to come in on the edge just a little bit more. So I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to come in and get that edge. And I can see a little bit of sanding marks. Clean that up. Put a lot more tension with my fingers, so kind of hard on your fingers if you got to do a lot of fingerboards. This is why I like that rubber deal. But pay real close attention to those edges, and we're done. Put that there. Put the 2400 back. Take the tape off. This is why I didn't push the edges down. That makes it easier to get the tape off now. Most of the time. Tape be gone. I'm good at hitting things in my trash can. Okay, now a little bit of paper towel here, blue towel. I get myself a little square of this. Goo Gone. It's basically naphtha, but it smells good. Yummy. Saturate it. I'm going to get rid of that purple mark now. I noticed that was in the frame. Come back over here, and I'm going to get that purple that's usually up against the side of the fret. My Sharpie's getting a little bit worn, getting a little bit of groove in it, and it'll put purple pretty far down this fret here. Anyways, just cleaning them up. Purple. Flip it over. It's saturated. If you ever have to look for cracks on the guitar, well, I think I did that. You can use that Goo Gone, squirt a little bit on here, clean it off, and see if it goes through. If it goes through, you've got a crack. You can try. clean this up. Now, it's got to stay in the fingerboard a little bit because it is kind of an oil, and it's an oil-based thing. So I like to go ahead and do the whole fingerboard. Get the color out of there and everything. Put it on the ridge too if you want to. It's just like lemon oil mostly, just a little bit of a shine. Yeah. Toss that. There, if you got a piece of dry, you can come back and you can sop up anything extra here. You don't want to leave oil sitting on the fingerboard, you know. Clean it up. But it does give it a nice dark shine, looks good. Yeah. Take your towel, rub it up and down like that. Did it catch? Did it rip? No, it didn't. So the fret ends are nice and smooth. Not gonna hurt yourself. No blood. No blood. It's good, huh? Okay. That's it for the frets. Now I'm going to do the nut, and I'll do another video on the nut.